Chosen one, pause what you are doing right now. This moment is not random. Heaven has arranged it with precision. The very air feels charged because something sacred is stirring in the unseen. December 9 is not just a date on the calendar, it is a divine appointment. A moment written before you were born. You can sense it deep within, that pull in your spirit, that trembling inside your chest. It is heaven's signal. The trumpet of destiny is sounding, and your soul knows the sound. For months, you have felt this holy tension, that feeling that you were meant for something more, that the ordinary could no longer contain you. That was not imagination. That was the Spirit awakening the chosen. Heaven has been whispering, get ready. Your dreams, your battles, your victories, and even your tears have been the ingredients of this exact moment. You are being positioned. The time of hiding is ending, and the time of revealing has come. You have walked through deserts that few understood. You have carried silent battles behind your smile, and yet you kept moving. You kept believing when logic said to quit. That resilience was not your own strength. It was divine power sustaining you. Heaven has been watching the way you refused to bow to bitterness, how you still prayed when it hurt, how you still hoped when nothing changed. Those moments were heaven's test, and you passed. Listen carefully. Chosen one, you are not hearing these words by coincidence. Heaven pressed pause on your distractions because your spirit needed this reminder. You were chosen, set apart, marked by the divine for such a time as this. The trumpet you hear is not a sound in the air, it's a call in the spirit realm, summoning you into purpose. This is not about fear, it's about readiness. The enemy has tried to convince you that your mistakes disqualified you, that your struggles disprove your anointing. But heaven says otherwise. You are not disqualified, you are refined. Every scar on your soul is proof of survival. Every disappointment was training. Every unanswered prayer was timing. And now, timing and purpose are about to collide. December 9 is not the end, it's the unveiling. You are stepping into a divine synchronization. The things that once felt delayed are aligning suddenly. The trumpet is calling you to awaken, to rise, to remember who you are. Do not bow to fear. Fear is the last gate before breakthrough. Walk through it. Lift your eyes. Chosen one, the night is almost over. The first light of purpose is rising over your life. This season will reveal why you had to lose certain people, why doors had to close, and why isolation became your only companion. Heaven was preparing a stage that required silence before sound, separation before revelation. Now the trumpet announces not just movement, but identity. You are no longer the one waiting for confirmation, you are the confirmation. Your obedience is the sound heaven recognizes. And when you move, angels move with you, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In Joel, chapter 2, verse 1, blow the trumpet in Zion, sound the alarm on my holy hill. The day of the Lord comes. This is your moment to respond. Heaven does not call the qualified, it qualifies the called. You are called. You are chosen. You are hearing the trumpet because you were meant to rise now. There is a stirring deep within you, an ancient memory of who you truly are. You have been chosen not just to survive, but to lead others through the storm. Heaven has trusted you with the assignment to carry light into the darkest hour, because your endurance was born in fire. Everything around you may feel unstable, but that is because creation itself is responding to your awakening. The shaking you feel is not destruction, it is birthing. Heaven is rearranging your surroundings to match the magnitude of your calling. Trust the process, for even chaos serves divine order. Soon, the same people who overlooked you will witness the evidence of your anointing. You will not need to prove yourself. The presence upon you will speak louder than words. What was hidden will be revealed, and your obedience will become the sign that God is still moving among His chosen. If this message resonates in your spirit, do not remain silent. Declare it aloud by faith. Type 999 inches, the comments, as a prophetic act, symbolizing divine completion and readiness. Let heaven see your agreement. And before you scroll away, like this message, share it with another chosen one, and subscribe so that this trumpet sound can awaken others who are still asleep. You have heard the call. The trumpet has sounded. The heavens are waiting for your yes. The air grows still around you. Chosen one, you can feel the world holding its breath, as if creation itself is pausing in reverence for what is about to happen. This silence is not emptiness, it is holy preparation. The heavens often grow quiet before great shifts. It is the pause before the thunder, the breath before the trumpet sounds again. You have stepped into that divine stillness now. You may feel like everything has slowed down. Doors that once opened easily now stay shut. Opportunities seem suspended in mid-air, and the rhythm of your days feels different. Do not mistake this for delay. Heaven has not forgotten you. This is divine calibration. When God is aligning something eternal, He slows time around the chosen. You are in the waiting room of glory, and the silence is the sound of angels setting the stage. There is a weight in this kind of waiting, a heaviness that tests your endurance and challenges your faith. You may ask, why is everything so quiet? Why can't I feel Him like before? The answer lies in your transformation. The silence is not God's absence, it is His artistry. He hides Himself not to punish you, but to deepen your hearing. You are being trained to recognize His presence, not by noise, but by knowing. You see, many can move when the trumpet blares, but only the mature can stand when heaven whispers. And right now, you are being taught how to hear the whisper. Every chosen one must endure this sacred stillness. Because destiny cannot rest on emotional highs, it must be anchored in unshakable faith. Faith that stands when the music stops. Faith that believes when miracles are silent. Faith that trusts even when the path disappears beneath your feet. Remember the story of Elijah. He expected God in the wind, in the fire, and in the earthquake, but God was in none of them. Instead, He came as a still, small voice. The same is true for you. The world wants spectacle. Heaven desires sensitivity. The stillness you feel is proof that you've graduated from noise to nuance. You are learning to walk by presence, not by proof. Every time heaven prepares to move, there is a pause. The Israelites experienced it at the edge of the Red Sea. The disciples felt it in the tomb's silence before resurrection morning. Even the heavens were silent for 400 years before Christ came forth. And now, your silence echoes that same divine rhythm. What seems delayed is simply divine timing, catching its breath before release. In this pause, heaven watches how you wait. Impatience reveals immaturity, but trust reveals readiness. Waiting with worship is the secret weapon of the chosen. When you can praise in the pause, You demonstrate that your love is not based on outcomes, but on intimacy. You were never meant to serve God only for what He gives. You were created to know Him for who He is. So do not rush this moment. Rest in it. The silence around you is fertile soil. Seeds are sprouting beneath the surface even when you see nothing. The dreams you thought had died are only germinating in secret. Heaven works in quiet places, wombs, tombs, hidden rooms of prayer. You are standing in such a place now. Chosen one, let this pause sanctify your perception. When you are still long enough, you start to see patterns that were invisible in motion. You realize the purpose behind past pain, the meaning behind old memories, the wisdom hidden in wounds. The silence becomes a mirror reflecting everything God has already done, preparing you to recognize what He will do next. Do not fear this stillness, fear missing it. For in this moment of holy quiet, God is writing something eternal on the walls of your spirit. He is recalibrating your desires, adjusting your direction, purifying your motives. The noise of the past season cannot follow you where you are going. This silence is heaven's filter, removing the residue of what no longer belongs to your destiny. As the Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 15, in repentance and rest is your salvation, in quietness and trust is your strength. This is the lesson of this sacred pause. Rest is not weakness, it is worship. Trust is not inaction, it is strategy. The stillness you feel is not the end of your story, it is the inhale before divine exhalation. God is preparing to breathe on everything connected to your name. But first, He must make sure you know the sound of His breath. So breathe. Chosen one, inhale peace. Exhale fear. Let the stillness become your sanctuary. While others panic, you will perceive. While others rush, you will rise. Heaven is teaching you the rhythm of divine timing, the symphony between silence and sound. When you master that rhythm, you will never miss another divine moment. The pause before the shift is sacred. Guard it. Protect your spirit from distractions that disguise themselves as urgency. Nothing eternal ever rushes. The oak tree grows slowly, but it lasts through centuries. In the same way, your destiny is taking root beneath this silence. When heaven moves again, it will not just change your life, it will change everything connected to you. The signs have been gathering around you. Chosen one, you have seen numbers repeating, dreams returning, and coincidences that feel too precise to be chance. Heaven is speaking through patterns, but the message is singular. The prophecy over your life is coming into alignment. What was once distant is now drawing near. Every delay, every unanswered prayer, every hidden season, all of it has been converging toward this moment. You are walking through the unveiling of prophecy. Things that once made no sense are now revealing their design. You are beginning to see how heaven wrote your journey long before you ever took your first step. The weight you have carried was not punishment, it was preparation. You were chosen to be a vessel of revelation, one who carries divine truth into a world blind to its own need. Sometimes, you've felt the tension between faith and fear. You've wondered why the promise tarried, why the vision remained unseen. But prophecy is not instant, it matures like fruit under the sun. God has been cultivating the soil of your life, so that when the word comes to pass, it will find a heart strong enough to hold it. Your waiting has not been wasted. Your pain has been prophetic. Every tear watered the seed of what is now about to bloom. This is why your dreams have been vivid lately. This is why your discernment has sharpened. The Spirit has been tuning your frequency to heaven's voice. You are being prepared to hear the instructions that will guide you through the next phase of divine unfolding. But take heed, not everyone around you will understand this shift. Revelation isolates before it elevates. The closer you move to destiny, the smaller your circle becomes. You must guard your prophecy like a treasure. Do not hand sacred blueprints to those who live in disbelief. Protect what heaven has whispered to you in the dark until it manifests in the light. Prophecy is not a spectacle for entertainment. It is a sacred trust between heaven and its chosen. When God gives you insight, He is revealing His strategy. Treat it as holy. There is a weight that comes with divine knowledge. The more revelation you carry, the more responsibility you bear. God is calling you to be not just a hearer, but a doer of the word revealed. Prophecy without obedience remains dormant. But when you move in alignment with the word spoken, heaven begins to rearrange reality itself to match what has been declared over your life. Chosen one, this is the hour when every dormant word begins to awaken. You will start to see glimpses of long-awaited promises taking shape. The visions that once seemed impossible will begin to materialize. The spiritual atmosphere is changing. It is thick with fulfillment. You can feel it, the electricity of destiny crackling around you. Remember, this prophecy never fails. It may be delayed by disobedience, but it is never denied. The same God who spoke light into darkness is speaking new beginnings over you. Even the things that fell apart were not outside His plan, they were part of it. For every detour, there was divine design. For every loss, there was hidden strategy. As we are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 119, verse 105, Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. This verse is more than comfort, it is instruction. The lamp does not show the entire journey, it only illuminates the next step. That is how prophecy works. You do not need to see everything, you only need to obey the next instruction. Each act of obedience lights another step, guiding you from mystery into manifestation. So do not be afraid of not knowing all the answers. Uncertainty is the birthplace of faith. Heaven does not reveal details to control you. It reveals direction to strengthen you. The more you trust, the more you'll see. The path of prophecy unfolds in motion. Now pause. Chosen one, let this truth sink deep. You are standing inside a living prophecy. Your life itself is a message. Heaven is speaking to the world. You are not merely reading about divine purpose, you are embodying it. You are the evidence that God still moves through those who listen. And now, as an act of recognition and agreement, I want you to comment, I receive it. These 3 words are not for me, they are for heaven to witness your faith. When you type them, you're not just responding, you're activating. You are declaring that the prophecy over your life will no longer stay in waiting. You are saying, let it be done, according to divine timing. Your comment becomes your covenant. It seals your readiness and your belief that you are part of what God is revealing in this generation. Do not underestimate such a small act, for every declaration of faith sends ripples through the unseen. The prophecy is not coming, it's here. It's unfolding through you, and heaven has been waiting for your agreement. There are battles you never saw. Chosen one wars fought over your life long before you ever took your first breath. You have been caught between forces older than the world itself. Every hardship, every unseen resistance, every delay you've faced has been part of an invisible conflict between light and darkness. This war is not against people, but against principalities that fear what you carry. You are not simply enduring random attacks, you are standing in the crossfire of destiny. The closer you move to divine purpose, the more violently the enemy resists. Hell does not waste energy on the ordinary. It attacks what threatens its kingdom. The opposition you faced is proof of your significance. The sleepless nights, the sudden discouragement, the unexplainable heaviness, all are signs that darkness recognized you before you recognized yourself. It saw the light in you and sought to extinguish it before you knew how to guard it. But what darkness didn't anticipate is the strength you've developed through suffering. Every battle you thought would break you only forged you deeper into resilience. You have scars that now shine like armor. You are no longer a fragile vessel, you are a warrior trained by adversity. The spiritual warfare around you has not been punishment, it has been education. You have learned to discern, to intercede, to fight with faith instead of fear. In this unseen realm, angels move when you speak with authority. Your prayers are not whispers into emptiness, they are declarations into eternity. Every word of faith carries power that shifts the atmosphere. When you command peace, heaven releases it. When you declare victory, the enemy trembles. You are not merely a participant in this war, you are a weapon formed by divine hands. There is something sacred about understanding that this conflict is not chaos, it is orchestration. God has allowed the battle to reveal who you are. You never truly know your strength until resistance comes. You never understand the depth of your faith until it is tested. What the enemy meant for destruction, heaven has repurposed for revelation. You may not always feel it, but you are surrounded. The invisible hosts of heaven stand on assignment. Angels guard your steps, intercepting attacks you never saw, silencing voices meant to destroy your confidence. The times you felt lucky to escape something, those were moments of divine intervention. The unseen war is real, but so is divine protection. This is why discernment is vital in this hour. You cannot afford to mislabel spiritual attacks as personal failures. You must look deeper. The argument that flares out of nowhere, the sudden fear, the constant distraction during prayer, all are tactics to drain your focus and diminish your authority. You cannot fight effectively if you think every battle is physical. You must fight with revelation, not reaction. And as the Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." This truth must anchor you. The moment you grasp it, everything changes. People are not your enemies. Darkness is. That understanding will free you from bitterness, revenge, and confusion. You will begin to pray for those who wounded you, realizing they were simply vessels caught in warfare they didn't comprehend. The true fight is in the unseen. So lift your vision. Chosen one, see beyond the surface. Recognize when storms arise. It is not always because of something you did wrong, but because of something you did right. You shifted something in the spirit, and the opposition was triggered. Every advance of light provokes resistance from darkness. But the end of this story has already been written. Light always wins. Hold your ground. Stand firm in the authority given to you. Every time you choose peace over panic, faith over fear, forgiveness over anger, you win another unseen battle. The darkness loses its grip, not because of your strength, but because of your obedience. The enemy's greatest frustration is that you keep getting back up. Every morning you rise. You declare war simply by being alive. This war will not consume you. It will crown you. You will emerge from it wiser, stronger, and clothed in a new level of authority. When you understand the war in the heavens, you stop living as a victim of chaos and start walking as a commander of peace. You were not born to merely survive the battle, you were born to shift it. You can feel it, can't you? Chosen one, something within you is waking up. Like embers that refuse to die, now bursting into flame. The call that once whispered, now thunders through your spirit. This is the season of awakening, the hour when the marked ones step out from hiding. Heaven is searching for those who will no longer blend in, for those who dare to carry light into places long forgotten by hope. And you, yes, you, are one of them. Your journey has not been easy. You've walked through fire, carrying dreams like fragile glass, afraid they might shatter. Yet here you are unbroken, still breathing, still believing. Every scar you carry has become a map, leading you toward purpose. The pain that once silenced you has now become your message. You were not buried, you were planted. The soil of struggle has been nurturing the roots of destiny beneath the surface. Awakening is never loud at first. It begins like dawn, a slow spreading of light through darkness. You start to see things differently. The things that once satisfied no longer fit. The conversations that once entertained now feel hollow. The people who once defined your identity start to fade from your orbit. It's not rejection, it's redirection. God is peeling away everything that cannot survive your next season. You are becoming luminous, and light always exposes shadows. The more you awaken, the more you notice the spiritual fatigue in the world, the apathy, the distraction, the endless chase for meaning in empty places. But instead of despairing, heaven calls you to rise higher. You are the spark in a dim world, the proof that even one burning soul can ignite 1,000 others. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." Let that truth sink in. You are not invisible. You were never meant to be small. The world tried to convince you that humility meant silence, that faith meant hiding. But heaven disagrees. You were designed to shine not for attention, but for awakening. Your story, your voice, your resilience, all of it was meant to illuminate the path for those still trapped in the shadows you escaped. Imagine your life as a lantern, glowing in the night. Every kind word, every prayer whispered for someone else, every act of mercy adds another drop of oil to that flame. And just as a lantern must be tended, your light must be fed through connection, through community, through acts of giving that reflect heaven's generosity. So, as you continue on this sacred path, consider how your flame might warm others. When you like, you echo light. When you share, you carry the flame further into the dark corners where another soul might be waiting. When you subscribe, you say, "I want to keep this fire burning with others who are awakening." And when you donate, You are not giving to a voice. You are feeding a movement of light that refuses to die. Every gift becomes a drop of oil that keeps the flame alive for someone still lost in the night. It's not about transaction, it's about transformation. You've seen enough of the world's noise to know the difference. This calling is not entertainment, it's ministry. Every time you support what carries truth, you are building altars of hope across digital wildernesses. You become a co-creator in the spreading of light. Let generosity become your worship, not your burden. Just as the ocean never runs dry from giving waves to the shore, your spirit will never run empty from giving what is born of love. The energy you release always finds its way back, multiplied through peace, provision, and divine alignment. That's how heaven's economy works. Chosen one, this awakening is not for you alone. The light you carry is communal. It spreads through connection. Somewhere, someone's prayer tonight will be answered because you chose to share what once healed you. You might never know their name, but heaven will record your act as eternal currency. You are the proof that darkness never wins when even one light chooses to stay lit. So guard your flame, nurture it, and don't let fear convince you that your light is too small to matter. Together, the chosen rise like dawn, quiet but unstoppable. The awakening has begun, and it carries your fingerprint. There are moments when heaven marks time. Chosen one, when an ordinary date becomes a doorway. December 9 is such a day, not just a number on a calendar, but a divine appointment set before you were born. It is the day when cycles close, when hidden promises are sealed, and when obedience meets fulfillment. Heaven is preparing to shift something permanent in you. You may already sense it. The air feels charged, the atmosphere thick with unseen movement. Your spirit knows what your mind cannot yet articulate. It feels like standing on the edge of something vast, both beautiful and terrifying. Don't shrink from it. This is not coincidence, it is orchestration. You are stepping into an alignment so precise that even angels have waited for this moment to unfold. This is not the first time heaven has circled a date in eternity. Every major move of God has always carried a moment of convergence, the day when destiny collides with divine order. December 9 is yours. It's the hinge of your story, the intersection where your preparation meets God's promise. You will look back on it not as another day, but as the day everything turned. But before you can step through that doorway, you must understand something vital. Appointments require arrival. You cannot enter a day of destiny with yesterday's mindset. Heaven will not pour new wine into old wineskins. That's why the days leading to December 9 have felt so heavy. Every delay, every test, every strange silence, all of it has been purification. God is stripping away what cannot follow you into fulfillment. You are being refined for readiness. The distractions that once captivated you are losing their hold. The cravings that once clouded your discernment are falling away. Heaven is removing counterfeit attachments because divine alignment cannot coexist with confusion. By the time you step into that day, your spirit will recognize what is holy and what is hollow. There is a sacred rhythm to God's timing. Just as the tide moves under the pull of the moon, your life moves under the pull of divine order. You may not see it, but everything is being arranged: relationships, opportunities, even obstacles. Nothing is random in this season. Every encounter is either acceleration or examination. When God marks a date, it is not to intimidate you, but to awaken you The countdown is not a threat, it's an invitation. He's saying, "Get ready to meet me in motion." The blessing is already prepared. The question is, will you be prepared for the blessing as heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy? Chapter 28, verse 12. The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season and to bless all the work of your hands. This is what December 9 represents: an opening of heaven's storehouse, the rain of favor, provision, and revelation that has been held in reserve will begin to pour. You will find that doors closed to you for years will suddenly open. People who once ignored your presence will begin to recognize your purpose. The spiritual drought will break. The waiting will end. But you must align your posture. When heaven opens, only vessels positioned upward can receive. This means humility, gratitude, and faith must become your rhythm. Don't waste this moment by looking back. Old seasons will call your name, but you must not answer. Their chapter has closed. What lies ahead demands your full focus. This day, December 9, is not just about what God will do for you, but what He will do through you. You are a bridge for others. Your obedience will unlock blessings not only for your life, but for everyone connected to you. Your yes in this moment becomes someone else's breakthrough tomorrow. That's why the enemy has fought you so fiercely. He knows your obedience carries generational impact. Let your faith rise now. Feel it in your bones, that holy fire. That deep knowing that something irreversible is approaching. Don't analyze it, just prepare for it. Heaven doesn't need your understanding, only your agreement. So right here, in this sacred pause between what has been and what is coming, declare your readiness. Comment 7,777. Not as superstition, but as a prophetic sign, 4 sevens representing complete alignment, divine fullness, and heaven's signature upon your destiny. When you type those numbers, you are saying, "I agree with heaven's timing. I will not miss my appointment." Your comment is not digital noise, it's a spiritual signature. It tells heaven, "I'm here, I'm awake, I'm ready." Angels move at the sound of agreement, and heaven records every act of faith, no matter how small. December 9 is not the end, it's the unveiling. Everything you've carried, prayed, and endured has been leading to this threshold. Stand tall, chosen one. The clock of heaven is ticking in your favor. What's been written will now unfold. The alignment has begun, and it bears your name. Fire has a language. Chosen one. It does not speak in words, but in transformation. When God chooses to elevate someone, He first introduces them to the flame. This is not the fire that destroys, it is the fire that purifies. It consumes what is false so that only what is true can remain. You are entering that season now, where heaven's refining fire moves through every corner of your being, burning away everything that cannot carry the weight of what's coming. You may not understand why certain relationships are collapsing, why opportunities that once glimmered with promise suddenly fade, or why you feel stripped of the very things that once gave you comfort. But the fire has purpose. It is not punishment, it is purification. God is not trying to take something from you, He is trying to remove what no longer serves your divine identity. There are layers of self that must fall away before glory can rest upon you. Pride disguises itself as strength. Fear masquerades as caution, and comfort often hides the chains of stagnation. The fire exposes these illusions. It burns through the disguises that kept you small. That's why the heat feels personal. It touches the places you tried hardest to protect. Yet, it is in those very places that the greatest freedom is found. The purging fire reveals the difference between what was built by your own hands and what was shaped by heaven. The plans you made out of survival will melt, but the vision God planted out of destiny will endure. When everything seems to be falling apart, look closer. It's not collapse. It's construction. The fire is rearranging the architecture of your life so that it can sustain greater glory. You have asked for strength, and heaven has answered with refinement. True strength is not built in ease, it's forged in surrender. When you let go of what burns, you make space for what lasts. Do not try to save the ashes of what was. The fire does not negotiate with nostalgia. It demands trust. As the Word of God declares in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9, I will put this third into the fire, and refine them as one refines silver, and test them as gold is tested. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is my God. This verse is not merely about purification, it is about identity. When the fire finishes its work, what emerges is something heaven can recognize as its own. You become more than a believer. You become evidence. The reflection of the refiner is seen in your life. And every scar becomes a testimony that his hand was upon you, even in the flame. Think of gold. It does not resist the fire. It yields to it. Every time it passes through, it shines brighter. You, too, are being polished by holy heat. The very trials that threaten to break you are revealing your brilliance. Your endurance is the proof of divine craftsmanship. Do not rush the process. Fire works in layers. It does not purify all at once. It lingers, deepens, searches. Sometimes it will seem as if nothing remains but smoke. Yet even in that smoke, heaven is breathing. The ashes of your old life are the soil for your new one. What once felt like loss will soon look like liberation. This purging season also teaches discernment. When the fire comes, not everyone around you will stay. Some will misunderstand your silence. Others will misjudge your transformation. Do not chase what the fire removes. Some people were assignments, not covenants. The same flame that hurts you may expose their motives. Let it. The truth revealed in fire is mercy in disguise. And remember this, God's fire never burns without purpose. Even your heartbreak carries holy meaning. The intensity of this season is a sign of the greatness you're about to carry. You are being emptied so that heaven can fill you without limit. You are not losing your life. You are shedding your shell. The comfort you crave would only cage you if it remained. The heat is breaking you open so that the divine within you can finally breathe. Every flame, every tear, every sleepless night, it all leads to unveiling. Soon, when the fire settles, you will stand among the ashes, unrecognizable to your past self. The same people who once pitied you will wonder how you still shine. What they won't realize is that the glow they see isn't survival, it's sanctification. The purging fire does not destroy the chosen, it defines them. And you, chosen one, are almost through it. The light emerging from this process will not flicker, it will blaze. What remains after this season will be unshakable, untouchable, and undeniably divine. The stillness you are walking through now is not the same as before. Chosen one, earlier, it was the silence of preparation. Now it is the silence of testing. The difference is subtle but sacred. In the first, heaven spoke softly to your heart. In this one, heaven watches your heart's response. You have moved from hearing to proving. What you do with silence now will determine how far your authority will reach. This is the test of stillness, the proving ground of every chosen one. It comes not when everything is peaceful, but when everything is uncertain. The test is not about what you can accomplish, it's about whether you can remain unmoved when nothing moves around you. It asks, can you stay faithful when the heavens feel closed? When prayers echo back unanswered? When progress hides behind invisible walls, can you still believe that God is good when the evidence has disappeared? You are not being punished. You are being purified by patience. The test of stillness is the hardest because it touches the deepest nerve of human nature, the desire to control. When God asks you to stand still, He is teaching you that stillness is not weakness, it's surrender. It is the art of warfare without movement, of faith without visible proof. When Israel stood before the Red Sea with an army behind them and no bridge ahead, God said, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." Those words still echo across the ages. Stillness was the strategy for deliverance. Movement would have been panic, but stillness became power. You, too, are standing before a sea that looks impossible, and heaven whispers the same command: stand, watch, trust. Stillness refines your discernment. When the noise of the world fades, you begin to notice the subtle currents beneath the surface of life. You start to see where heaven is gently shifting things in your favor. The quiet days, the long pauses, the apparent delays, all are movements in disguise. The wind that seems absent is only gathering strength to change direction. This test also exposes idols. When motion stops, distractions lose their power. You begin to see what you've depended on more than God. Titles, relationships, validation, even ministry, these can become substitutes for stillness. Heaven removes them not to punish you, but to teach you how to find peace in presence, not in progress. The test of stillness also teaches humility. The ego hates waiting. It wants results, recognition, evidence. But the Spirit knows that divine timing cannot be rushed. Waiting doesn't weaken you, it aligns you. The longer you wait with faith, the stronger your roots grow. A tree that grows fast may fall with the storm, but one that grows deep will endure all seasons. As it was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." This ancient truth is the essence of your current season. God is not asking you to perform, He is asking you to rest in His ability. The battle that surrounds you is not yours to fight. Your task is obedience, His task is outcome. When you finally stop striving, heaven starts moving. The silence around you is deceptive, it feels empty, but it's filled with divine motion. You may not hear the sound of victory yet, but the ground beneath you is trembling with preparation. Every unseen moment of patience becomes an offering, a silent declaration that says, "Even if nothing changes, I will not bow to fear." This stillness, though difficult, is holy. It teaches you to separate your identity from your activity. You are not what you do. You are who you are becoming. You are learning to be rather than to prove. That's why the stillness feels uncomfortable. It strips away performance and leaves only presence. And here lies the mystery when you master stillness. You master movement. Because when the next command comes, when heaven says go, you will move not out of panic but out of precision. The one who has learned to wait will never miss divine timing again. So, do not despise the quiet days. They are the womb of your next victory. Every silent hour is pregnant with purpose. What you cannot see yet is being written in invisible ink. The stillness is your shield. It keeps you from rushing into battles that were never yours. Soon, the command will shift. The silence will break. You will hear. Now move. And when that moment comes, you will not stumble in confusion. You will glide in grace. The time spent in stillness will have sharpened your perception, refined your instincts, and strengthened your confidence in the unseen hand that guides you. For now, breathe deeply and remain at peace. The test of stillness is not a pause in destiny. It is part of destiny. It is heaven's classroom, where the strongest warriors learn to fight without lifting a sword. Your silence is not empty. It is victory in progress. Every destiny has a decision point. Chosen one. Yours is here. Heaven has brought you to a sacred crossroad, a place where comfort and calling stand face to face. The test is not external, it is internal. The question being whispered into your soul is simple yet eternal. Which crown will you choose? Crowns are not made of gold first, they are made of surrender. Every true crown begins in hidden obedience. The world offers its own kind of crown: recognition, validation, control. They glitter for a moment, but fade like smoke. Heaven's crown, however, is eternal. It cannot be seen with eyes of flesh, but its weight is felt by those who choose surrender over success, purpose over popularity, and faith over fear. You have worn many things on your head: burdens, worries, expectations. But heaven calls you now to lay them down and receive what was meant for you from the beginning. The crown waiting for you is not earned by performance, it is inherited through obedience. Each act of humility polishes it. Each step of faith shapes it. Each yes to God, even when no one understands, forges it in invisible fire. This is the choice of crowns, the moment where your destiny requires your decision. You cannot wear both. The crown of comfort and the crown of calling cannot share the same head. The first asks for compromise, the second demands courage. You will know which one you've chosen by the weight it carries. Comfort feels light because it costs nothing. Calling feels heavy because it carries eternity. The heavens are watching this decision with great reverence. Angels are silent, for this is the part of the journey no one can walk for you. Heaven can present opportunity, align moments, even whisper instructions, but surrender must be your own. The power of destiny is that God invites but never forces. The crown must be chosen. The world will try to convince you to settle to chase applause instead of alignment, to build reputation instead of revelation. But every chosen one learns that true kings and queens are crowned in secret long before the world ever sees it. Joseph received his crown in a prison. David wore his in the wilderness. Esther's crown began as a risk, not as royalty. So too, your crown will emerge from courage, not convenience. This decision is not just about the moment, it's about legacy. The crown you choose today shapes the future you will hand to those who come after you. The way you handle this moment of testing will echo beyond your lifetime. If you choose obedience now, heaven will record your yes as a generational seed. The favor you unlock will flow into places your feet may never walk. As it was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord will award that day." This verse is a reminder that the crown is not for the proud or the perfect, it's for the faithful, for those who did not give up when it would have been easier to quit, for those who chose integrity when deceit promised comfort, for those who remained kind when bitterness felt justified. Every decision of faith adds another gem to your crown. You may not see it yet, but heaven already does. Every time you forgive, another jewel is placed. Every time you love without return, the crown shines brighter. Every time you obey in silence, it grows in weight and glory. When you finally meet the day of fulfillment, you will realize you were being crowned all along. So ask yourself gently, what crown am I choosing when fear whispers that obedience is too costly? Remember that compromise costs more. When doubt says the calling is too heavy, remember that grace was given to carry it. The world's crown will fade, heaven's crown will never tarnish. And now, if this truth resonates in your spirit, if something inside you says, "This is my moment of choice," then let your declaration be seen and heard. Comment, "I choose surrender." These 3 words are not just a phrase, they are a covenant. When you type them, you are not announcing weakness, you are announcing wisdom. You are saying, "I would rather be refined than be famous. I would rather be faithful than be seen." Heaven hears it. The unseen realms shift when a heart declares surrender. Do not underestimate the power of this act. Every surrender multiplies strength. Every yes you whisper today becomes thunder tomorrow. This choice of crowns defines who you are becoming. So, stand tall. Chosen one. The heavens lean close. The crown of calling gleams just beyond your reach, but it is yours the moment you surrender. There comes a time when silence breaks and the roar rises. Chosen one, you have walked through stillness, fire, and surrender, but now the sound of awakening fills the heavens. The Lion of Judah is stirring, and those who have been silent will begin to roar. This is the rise of the lion-hearted, those who move not in pride, but in divine authority. You were not made to whisper truth into the void. You were made to speak with holy fire that pierces darkness. For too long, the world has mistaken humility for silence, but heaven defines humility differently. It is not shrinking so others feel comfortable. It is standing tall so others can see the God within you. The lion-hearted are not arrogant, they are aware. They carry the awareness of divine power resting on fragile human form. You are one of them. There is a roar building inside you, one born of both pain and promise. Every time you stayed silent when misunderstood, that roar grew stronger. Every tear you shed in secret became the vibration of a future declaration. The roar of the lion-hearted is not loud because of volume, it is loud because it carries truth. When you speak, atmospheres shift, demons retreat, hope returns. But hear this before the lion roars outward. It must roar inward. Authority begins with alignment. You cannot command what you have not conquered. Heaven has spent seasons refining your voice, teaching you when to speak and when to stay still. The silence of the past season was never wasted. It was training your tone. You are learning how to speak from presence, not from pressure. When the lion-hearted rise, they do not compete, they complete. Each carries a unique sound, a divine frequency that echoes God's heart through their own story. Some roar through words, others through art, compassion, service, or giving. The roar is not always sound. Sometimes it is sacrifice. What matters is that the light within is no longer contained. As the Word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 28, verse 1, "The righteous are as bold as a lion." This boldness is not natural, it is supernatural. It does not come from confidence in yourself, but from trust in the one who sent you. Heaven does not need another echo, it needs an original roar. You were given a voice that carries healing, conviction, and authority. Do not bury it beneath fear. The lion-hearted are not reckless, they are resolute. They understand timing. They understand silence. But they also understand when the time for silence ends. The world is desperate for authentic voices, those that speak light without agenda, truth without manipulation, hope without performance. You are being called to be one of those voices. Think of it like a lighthouse on a stormy shore. The waves crash, the winds rage, but the light never argues with the storm. It simply shines. That is your calling, to shine steadily amid chaos, to stand where others collapse, to remind the world that God's light is still alive. Every like, every share, every moment you help this message reach another weary soul is like adding another lighthouse along the coast of despair. So when you like, you strengthen the signal. When you share, you cast the light further into waters you may never sail. When you subscribe, you become part of the family of lights, keeping the flame alive across generations. And if your heart feels stirred to donate, know that you are not funding a voice, you are fueling a movement. You are helping build digital altars where the broken can find warmth again. Your giving is like feeding a fire in winter. Each ember you offer adds heat to the hearth that shelters many. You may never see the faces of those your act of generosity reaches, but heaven will show you one day the souls that were saved from despair because you decided to give. That is the power of love in motion. You have seen how easily noise spreads in this world, how quickly fear and hate multiply. But imagine what would happen if light traveled just as fast. Imagine a network of lion-hearted souls, each one carrying a spark, each one roaring truth in their own corner of the earth. That is what you help create when you choose to engage. You're not supporting content, you're sustaining calling. Think of this message as a seed. It doesn't grow by being heard once. It grows through connection, through nurturing, through being passed from heart to heart. You are the gardener of light, tending what heaven planted. When you share this message, you are planting it in someone else's soil. Generosity, whether through attention, encouragement, or giving, is the roar of the Spirit translated into action. It says, I believe this light matters. I believe people still need hope. It transforms digital moments into eternal echoes. So let your roar be heard in your own way. Speak life. Spread truth. Build light. You are not alone, the other lion-hearted are awakening too. Together, your combined roar will shake the spiritual atmosphere and remind darkness that light never sleeps. You are part of a living movement, a divine chorus of courage. Keep your heart tender, your roar pure, and your spirit generous. The world needs your sound now more than ever. Mirrors never lie. Chosen one, but they do not always tell the whole truth either. They reflect the surface, but not the soul. In this season, heaven is handing you a spiritual mirror, not to expose your flaws, but to reveal your authenticity. The days of performance are ending. The age of truth has come. God is removing every mask, every illusion, every layer that once helped you survive, but now keeps you from seeing who you truly are. You have worn many faces to navigate different worlds, faces of strength when you were breaking inside, faces of peace when your heart was at war, faces of confidence when fear was choking you. Those masks were never hypocrisy, they were survival. But survival seasons eventually expire. What kept you safe then, now keeps you small. God is calling you into wholeness, and wholeness requires honesty. There is a quiet courage in standing bare before God, with nothing to hide behind. When you finally stop pretending, heaven breathes. For God can only heal what you bring into His light. The masks may have protected you, but they also prevented intimacy. You cannot be fully loved while you are half hidden. The time for camouflage is over. The true you, the one that heaven designed, is emerging. It's the you that does not shrink to be accepted, that no longer fears rejection, that knows identity is not dependent on applause. God is restoring your reflection, showing you the version of yourself He always saw. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are the proof of divine mercy. But to see yourself clearly, you must first allow God to show you what you've believed falsely. There are mirrors that distort the opinions of others, the echoes of past wounds, the expectations of culture. They have shaped the way you see yourself. And yet, heaven says, that's not who you are. The image staring back at you in the world's mirror is a fragment, not the full picture. The voice that once told you, you're not enough, you'll never be ready, you're too broken to be used, is a cracked mirror speaking. The refiner does not use shattered glass to define his creation. He speaks through the mirror of his word. When you begin to see yourself through that reflection, everything changes. As Scripture reminds us in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 23 to 25, anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and, after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. This verse is not about correction alone, it's about clarity. The mirror of God's word doesn't only show you what is wrong, it shows you what is rightfully yours. It reflects not your shame, but your potential. When you look into it long enough, you begin to remember who you were before the world told you to forget. The masks will start to fall gently. The people who only loved your disguise will fade. Do not mourn them. They were drawn to illusion, not identity. Those who are meant for your next season will love you as you are unfiltered, unfinished, authentic. Real connection can only thrive in truth. And truth feels like exposure before it feels like freedom. In this unveiling, you will also begin to discern others differently. You will see beyond the masks they wear, the bravado covering fear, the sarcasm hiding pain, the smiles concealing sorrow. Compassion will replace judgment because you will recognize fragments of yourself in their reflection. You will understand that everyone is trying to find the courage to be seen. The more you embrace your authenticity, the stronger your discernment becomes. You will no longer be deceived by appearances. The false will become transparent, and the true will radiate unmistakably. That is how God protects His chosen, by sharpening their spiritual sight. The mirror you carry will not only reflect your own transformation, it will expose what's real in others. But authenticity comes at a cost. The world is often uncomfortable with honesty because it cannot manipulate what it cannot define. When you refuse to wear the expected mask, you will confuse those who only understand performance. They may label your peace as pride, your silence as arrogance, your confidence as rebellion. Do not bend to correct their misunderstanding. Clarity with God is worth more than approval from man. When you finally walk unveiled, the presence that rests on you will shift rooms before you speak. There will be something different in your eyes, light that no mirror can capture. You will no longer need to explain yourself. Truth, once embraced, becomes its own defense. This is the reward of the mirror. It restores reflection, not reputation. When you see yourself as God sees you, you stop chasing validation. You begin to move in authority, not anxiety. You begin to rest, not prove. You realize that your worth was never in question. It was only hidden under the masks you learned to wear to survive. Now the masks fall, and the mirror stands. You, chosen one, are stepping into a life without disguise. The world may not be ready for such honesty, but heaven has been waiting for it. There are moments in your journey, chosen one, when heaven stops speaking in riddles and begins speaking in numbers. Numbers are not mere symbols. They are frequencies of divine language. They carry the rhythm of heaven's heartbeat. In this season, God is marking your alignment not through words, but through signs, confirmations that you are walking in sync with the divine pattern written for your life. Lately, you may have noticed it, repeating digits appearing everywhere. On clocks, on receipts, in dreams. You glance at the time, and it reads the same numbers over and over again. That's not a coincidence. Heaven uses repetition to awaken recognition. It's a whisper that says, "Pay attention. You are in divine timing. You've stepped into a window of supernatural alignment." Numbers are sacred fingerprints. Each carries a vibration, a meaning, a prophetic signature. They are reminders that God is not random, He is precise. Every hair on your head is counted, every step numbered. Even when life felt chaotic, it was calculated. What you thought was delay was design. Every closed door, every redirection, it was mathematics of mercy. Right now, heaven is drawing your eyes to this understanding. You are no longer walking by guesswork. You are walking by divine geometry. Every intersection of your life is a point in a larger pattern. You may not yet see the whole design, but heaven does. The shape forming around you is destiny precise, perfect, undeniable, as it was revealed in the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 23. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in His way. That is not poetry, it is prophecy. Your steps are ordered. not ordinary. The same God who ordered the stars in their constellations is ordering your journey. When you walk in obedience, even your mistakes become part of the map. The moments that once felt like detours now reveal themselves as divine direction. This is why heaven uses numbers, because numbers speak order in a world of chaos. They are heaven's way of saying, I'm still here. The pattern still holds. When you begin to see alignment, when things start falling into place after seasons of confusion, it means your frequency has shifted. You are resonating with heaven's rhythm. Look at your life now. The timing of encounters, the opportunities appearing just when you almost gave up, the sudden peace replacing panic. These are not random. These are equations of grace balancing themselves in your favor. Every blessing delayed is about to be delivered in sequence. Every unanswered prayer is about to reveal its reason. You are entering the chapter of divine precision. But here is what heaven wants you to know. Alignment demands awareness. You must remain present enough to recognize the signs. God is not hiding his language from you. He is inviting you to read it differently. Pay attention to patterns. When you see repetition, stop and listen. Heaven is trying to confirm what your spirit already knows. Numbers are not magic. They are messages. They carry reminders that you are not lost in the crowd, you are counted. The Creator, who named every star, has numbered your days, not with dread, but with destiny. Every tick of the clock is not time running out, it's prophecy unfolding. Sometimes, heaven will use numbers as seals, confirmations that your faith has been noticed, your obedience recorded. And when that happens, you are to respond not with superstition, but with surrender. Recognize the moment. Acknowledge the message. Declare your agreement. And now, if this truth resonates with your spirit, if you sense that your steps are aligning with heaven's calendar, I want you to comment 5,555. This number represents transformation, grace in motion, and divine shift, the fivefold touch of heaven moving through your life. When you type it, you're not repeating digits, you're signing a spiritual document that says, I agree with divine change. I step into alignment. Heaven recognizes acts of faith, even the ones typed through trembling fingers. This small act becomes a covenant of awareness. It tells heaven, I see you in the details. I trust your design. Every digit becomes a declaration. Every repetition, a reminder that you are seen, guided, and covered. And, in the days to come, watch carefully. You will begin to notice those numbers again, not as coincidence, but as confirmation. They will appear in moments when you doubt, reminding you that heaven is near. They will whisper encouragement when you feel alone, echoing, your steps are still ordered. You will come to realize that your life is a living sequence, divine mathematics unfolding into meaning. You are not simply wandering, you are walking in a rhythm written by the one who never miscounts. So, breathe. Trust the order even when the pattern isn't clear. Heaven wastes nothing, not even seconds. Every number has purpose, and so do you. There is a rhythm to divine timing. Chosen one, a pulse that moves through every delay, every waiting room, every detour that seemed endless. You have stood in places where time felt frozen, where prayers seemed to vanish into the silence, where doors that looked meant for you refused to open. Yet heaven whispers now those delays were not denials, they were divine defenses. Delay has always been one of God's most misunderstood mercies. The human heart interprets waiting as punishment. But in truth, waiting is protection. When God withholds, it's because what He has for you cannot survive in the timing you wanted. He loves you too much to let your blessing arrive immature. What you called stagnation, heaven called strategy. There were seasons when you watched others sprint ahead while you were told to stay still. You questioned yourself, your faith, even your purpose. But what you didn't see was that you were being built for something that required deeper roots. Some trees grow fast but die with the first frost. Others, like oaks, grow slowly but stand through centuries. You were never designed for temporary bloom. You were destined for timeless fruit. The spirit of delay often disguises itself as frustration. It tries to convince you that time has betrayed you, that your prayers have expired. Yet even the clock obeys heaven. What you think is lost time is actually layered timing, where everything is aligning quietly beneath the surface. You are not behind schedule, you are on divine time, which does not move according to human clocks. Every delay has been orchestrated for alignment. Think of it like a grand symphony. Each instrument must wait for its precise cue. If any note arrives too early, the song loses its beauty. Your life is a melody being composed by divine hands. The pauses between notes are not mistakes, they are music in disguise. As the Word of God declares in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. This verse carries the entire message of your journey. Everything, every pain, every postponement, every unanswered question will make sense in its time. The divine delay is not a closed door, it's an extended preparation. You are being shaped not just for blessing, but for stewardship. What's coming will not be light, it will be weighty. And only those refined through waiting can carry weight without collapsing. Waiting transforms the impatient into the wise. It filters out desperation and replaces it with discernment. In delay, you learn what truly matters. You discover that not every open door is divine, and not every opportunity is meant for you. The silence teaches you to differentiate between good and God. And when you finally walk through the door that is yours, you'll recognize it instantly because peace will meet you at the threshold. You may not realize it yet, but the season of delay has sharpened your perception. You now sense spiritual shifts faster, recognize deception sooner, and carry endurance where once there was anxiety. These are gifts forged in waiting. You are becoming dangerous to darkness because you no longer move out of fear, you move out of faith. There is also a cosmic rhythm to delay. The universe itself waits for divine timing. Stars are born in silence. Galaxies expand in obedience to invisible patterns. Even creation teaches patience. The seed in the soil does not question how long it must remain buried. It simply trusts that when the season changes, growth will be inevitable. You are that seed. Chosen one, your burial season is ending, and the breakthrough you've prayed for is already swelling beneath the surface. There will come a moment soon when everything will shift suddenly. The door that stayed shut for years will open as if it had never been locked. The relationships that felt lost will return in healed form. The opportunities that seemed gone will reappear at the exact moment you are ready to handle them. This is how divine time works slowly. Then suddenly, the spirit of delay is breaking because it has completed its assignment. You've learned the patience it came to teach. Heaven is releasing acceleration now. But it will not feel frantic. It will feel precise. The waiting has synchronized you with heaven's rhythm, so that when movement comes, it will not overwhelm you, it will empower you. Look back for a moment. You'll see the fingerprints of God across every waiting season, the jobs you didn't get, the people who left, the prayers that seemed unanswered. All of them formed the scaffolding of this new elevation. Without the wait, you wouldn't have the wisdom to recognize the promise when it arrives. So, breathe deeply. The delay was not your enemy, it was your midwife. It has delivered you into maturity. What once frustrated you will soon fascinate you. You will stand in answered prayers and realize that the timing was perfect all along. This is the mystery of divine timing. It always feels late until it arrives. And then you see it was early all along. There is a sacred threshold that few recognize until they cross it. Chosen one, the moment when promise stops being prophecy and starts becoming reality. You are standing before that invisible line now. It doesn't look spectacular. In fact, it feels strangely calm. But beneath that quietness, heaven is moving mountains in silence. The threshold is where faith becomes sight, where long-held words take form in the world of matter. Crossing this line requires awareness, not effort. Many stumble here because they still think they must strive to make destiny happen. But the truth is, the threshold is not crossed by force, it's crossed by alignment. Everything that has been refined in you, the stillness, the fire, the surrender was training for this moment. You are not entering something new, you are becoming who you already were in heaven's design. The threshold is narrow because it filters motives. Only purity can pass through. That's why you have been stripped of what once felt essential. Attachments that once comforted you have fallen away. The divine hand has been lightening your load so that nothing temporal clings to what is eternal. Every release, every goodbye, every unanswered question was preparation to make you light enough to cross. This passage is both ending and beginning. A hinge where two worlds meet, the old one that trained you and the new one that requires you. You may feel suspended between what was and what will be, but do not fear the in-between. The threshold is a holy tension, a sacred still point between movement and manifestation. When Israel crossed the Jordan, they were commanded to step while the waters still covered the way. Faith always moves before evidence appears. The priests carried the ark first, and only when their feet touched the water did the river part. That is how thresholds work. Obedience opens what logic cannot. You are being called to step, not because the path is visible, but because heaven has already prepared ground where your foot will fall. As we are reminded in the book of Joshua, chapter 3, verse 13, as soon as the priests who carry the ark of the Lord of all the earth, set foot in the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off and stand up in a heap. That verse is not a memory, it is a map. It reveals how the divine operates when transition meets obedience. The waters represent what looks impossible. The priests represent faith in motion. Your threshold moment will look impossible too, but when you move in faith, what resisted you will rise and stand still. The barrier will become the witness. The air feels different when you reach this point. You begin to notice peace replacing panic. Fear loses its vocabulary. The uncertainty that once tormented you no longer feels threatening, it feels like open space. That's the sign you've reached the borderland of breakthrough. Heaven always calms before it crowns. Thresholds are holy ground. They separate seasons and sanctify beginnings. Every great shift in Scripture occurred at a threshold: Abraham leaving his homeland, Moses stepping onto holy ground, Ruth crossing from mourning into destiny, Jesus rising from the tomb at dawn. These are not just stories, they are templates. You are now living your own version of that sacred crossing. Do not rush. The threshold is not a hallway to sprint through, it's an altar to honor. Pause and breathe in the holiness of this moment. Look around with spiritual eyes. The things that once chained you no longer have authority here. The fears that used to paralyze you cannot pass through this gate. You are lighter, clearer, freer than you've ever been. And yet you may not even realize it. Transformation rarely feels loud when it's genuine. It feels like peace. In this crossing, heaven rewrites your identity. The wilderness version of you cannot lead in the promised land. The fire-forged version of you is the one who carries authority into new territories. Every hardship behind you was shaping your voice for what's ahead. What once hurt you now empowers you. What once silenced you now fuels your roar. You are crossing from reaction into revelation, from striving into sovereignty. There will be whispers of resistance as you step through. The enemy always tries to remind you of who you used to be, hoping you'll carry shame as baggage. But the threshold doesn't allow ghosts from old seasons to follow. The bloodline of your past breaks here. The moment you step forward, everything unaligned with destiny loses its grip. Take a moment to remember how far you've come. Every trial you endured, every tear you shed, every moment you almost gave up, it all brought you here. You did not arrive by accident. You arrived by endurance. This threshold is not random, it's earned through obedience. When you finally cross, there will be no thunder, no spectacle, just a deep knowing, a sense that something irreversible has shifted. The air will feel cleaner, your thoughts clearer, your spirit lighter. That's the quiet sound of fulfillment settling into place. And once you've crossed, nothing will ever fit the same way again. You'll notice old fears trying to return but finding no foothold. Old doubts will knock, but peace will answer. The threshold not only changes your season, it changes your structure. You will carry new authority, new vision, and a deeper gentleness that comes from having seen the other side. So step forward, chosen one. The water will part when you move. The line you are crossing now is holy ground between promise and performance. Heaven has been waiting for this moment, and all creation leans in to watch you step through. Something extraordinary is unfolding across the earth. Chosen one, you can feel it deep in your spirit, the gathering of the scattered, the uniting of the awakened. Heaven is weaving together the remnant. Those who carry light in their bones and courage in their breath, across nations and languages, across cultures and callings. The chosen are beginning to recognize one another. It is as if the stars themselves are aligning not just above you, but within you. This gathering is not about crowds or movements, it is about connection. It is the quiet miracle of recognition when one burning heart meets another. The spark leaps, and light multiplies. The world may call it coincidence, but heaven calls it convergence. You were never meant to walk this path alone. Your fire was designed to join with others until the night itself trembles. There is a wind moving through this generation, gathering embers into flames. Some of those embers are weary, they've burned through storms and nearly gone out. But when brought together, their collective warmth revives even the faintest spark. You are part of this divine bonfire, a flame that cannot be quenched. When you gather with others in spirit and purpose, the atmosphere changes. Despair gives way to hope. Division bows to unity. Heaven begins to sing again through human voices. As it was written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 24 and 25. Let us consider how to spur one another toward love and good deeds, encouraging one another. This gathering is not limited to physical spaces. It transcends borders. It happens in hearts, in messages, in the invisible threads that tie souls together across distance and time. Every moment you connect with another chosen one through words, prayer, or even a simple acknowledgement. You strengthen heaven's network of light. You become part of something vast and eternal, a tapestry woven by unseen hands. Imagine humanity as an ocean of candles. Some flicker, some blaze, some barely glow, but when they come together, darkness has no dominion. That is the power of unity in the Spirit. It's not about sameness, it's about shared flame. Every difference becomes a note in heaven's harmony. Together, the chosen are forming a new sound, one of hope, restoration, and holy rebellion against despair. This is why your presence matters. Every time you engage, every time you share what has touched you, you are not just passing along words, you are extending warmth. When you like, you're adding oil to the flame. When you share, you're carrying that flame into places you may never step physically. When you subscribe, you're saying, I will keep my lamp burning with others who walk in light. And when you choose to donate, you are pouring fuel into the fire that keeps this movement alive. It is more than generosity, it is partnership. Your gift becomes a seed of light sown into the world's darkest corners. Think of it like tending a sacred lantern in a storm. The flame you protect today will become someone else's light tomorrow. You may never see their face, but heaven will show you one day how your act of giving illuminated paths for thousands. You are helping build a sanctuary of words and truth where weary hearts can rest. Every gesture, every comment, every act of sharing is another stone in the altar of awakening. And that altar burns brighter each time another soul joins the circle. When you engage with this message, you're not supporting a voice, you're sustaining a mission. You're ensuring that those who sit in shadows still hear the whisper, you are chosen too. You become part of heaven's chain of light, passed from heart to heart like torches across a midnight mountain range. So, beloved, as you listen, let your heart respond. Let your spirit say, I will not let this flame go out. Let your hands become extensions of divine generosity. Your words, vessels of encouragement. The world needs your sound, your support, your spark. When you feel moved to give, know that it's not charity, it's covenant. You're not feeding an algorithm. You're feeding angels' assignments. Every like is a spark. Every share is a bridge. Every donation is a flame that says, the light will not die on my watch. And after you've listened, take a moment to comment below. Speak from your spirit. Your words might be the very confirmation another weary soul needs tonight. You may think it's small, but heaven amplifies sincerity. A single comment of faith can echo louder than 1,000 empty speeches. We are the gathering of the chosen, and our unity is our roar. When the world trembles in confusion, our harmony will hold steady. When fear shouts, faith will sing louder. This is not the end of something, it's the beginning of a chorus. Together, we become a constellation of courage, proof that heaven still speaks through ordinary lives. The gathering has begun, and your flame has been counted among the stars. All of heaven is converging now. Chosen one, the alignment is almost complete. You can sense it in your bones, in the quiet rhythm of your breath, in the sudden clarity of your thoughts. The pieces that once seemed scattered are finding their place, fitting into a pattern that feels both ancient and new. What you could not understand in fragments now begins to form a whole. Heaven's design has never wavered, it has simply waited for you to see it. Alignment does not happen in noise. It begins in stillness, where the unseen structures of heaven touch the foundations of the earth. You have been drawn into this holy synchronization, where divine purpose and earthly reality meet in perfect harmony. Everything you have endured, every delay, every loss, every moment of surrender was preparing you for this alignment. It is not chaos, it is choreography. You have walked through storms that were meant to scatter you, yet every gust of wind was secretly turning you toward true north. Heaven used even opposition as correction. Every misstep became a magnet drawing you closer to destiny. The path may have looked crooked from the ground, but from above, it has always been straight. You are exactly where you need to be on the axis of divine intention. Look around with spiritual sight. The world feels unstable, but that instability is the shaking before the settling. When heaven aligns with earth, everything unlike heaven begins to tremble. Systems crumble, illusions collapse, truth rises. What looks like destruction is actually reconstruction. Old paradigms are dissolving to make space for what carries eternal weight. In this alignment, time itself bends. What should have taken years will happen in moments. What once seemed unreachable will unfold with ease. You are entering the season of divine acceleration, but not reckless speed. This acceleration is purposeful, strategic, measured by the rhythm of heaven's heartbeat. Every event will click into place like gears in a cosmic clock. The timing will be flawless, because the author of time himself is turning the hands. As it was written in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and trust. This verse is more than reassurance, it is revelation. All things includes the pain you regretted, the silence you resented, the mistakes you thought ruined you. Every fragment has been working together in secret harmony. Divine alignment doesn't ignore your broken pieces, it uses them as the very structure of your destiny. The cracks in your life have become channels for grace. Think of the universe itself. Stars do not float at random, they move in exact coordination, held in gravitational balance by invisible laws. The same is true of your life. You are not drifting. You are being held, pulled, and positioned by an unseen gravity called purpose. It draws you toward fulfillment, whether you recognize it or not. Every heartbreak adjusted your orbit. Every miracle confirmed your course. This alignment is not external alone, it is internal. Heaven is bringing your heart, mind, and spirit into agreement. The wars within you are ceasing because they can no longer exist where peace has authority. You will notice that the thoughts once heavy with doubt are beginning to quiet. The wounds that dictated your emotions are losing their control. You are not forcing peace, you are remembering it. In this stillness, revelation flows easily. Answers will come in dreams. Confirmations in passing words. Signs in unexpected moments. What once felt hidden will suddenly feel obvious. You'll understand why certain seasons had to end, why certain people had to leave, and why certain doors refused to open. It will all make sense, not in theory, but in peace. Heaven's alignment is always accompanied by clarity. Confusion evaporates where order reigns. You will find yourself speaking differently, choosing differently, even walking differently. The indecision that once plagued you will be replaced by quiet certainty. You won't need to defend your choices, they will simply align with divine flow. And this alignment doesn't stop with you. When the chosen align, creation responds. Nature itself recognizes harmony restored. Environments will change. Relationships will heal. Opportunities will unfold, all in resonance with the peace you now carry. You are becoming a living point of alignment between heaven and earth, a walking bridge between the invisible and the visible. Stand still for a moment. Feel it, the rhythm of heaven syncing with your pulse. You are not outside of divine timing, you are inside it. You are part of the great calibration happening across the world. The adjustment that precedes revelation. Everything you've prayed for, waited for, and hoped for is being arranged right now, not in chaos, but in perfect order. The unseen has finally caught up with the seen. Heaven has aligned with earth, and earth will soon echo heaven. And now, chosen one, the day approaches, the one heaven has been whispering about since the beginning of this journey. December 9. Not just a date, but a revelation wrapped in time. You have been walking toward it, step by step, breath by breath, through fire, silence, surrender, and awakening. It is not the end of the story, it is the unveiling of what was always written. The final step is not about reaching a destination, it is about realizing that you have become the destination. Heaven's promise has found its home in you. There is a holy hush before great unveiling. The world around you may look ordinary, but in the spirit, everything is trembling with anticipation. Angels stand on assignment. The air vibrates with purpose, and your name is being spoken in heaven's courts. The fullness of divine timing has arrived. What you carried in seed form is ready to manifest in substance. This is the day when the veil lifts. Everything that once seemed disconnected now converges into clarity. You will see patterns that once confused you, suddenly forming meaning. The puzzle pieces of your life will click together, revealing the image of destiny that heaven always saw. You will finally understand that nothing was wasted, not the pain, not the silence, not even the detours. As the ancient prophet declared in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 5, "Look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe." Even if you were told, this is what December 9 represents, the doing of something so vast, so intricate, that the human mind could not comprehend it until it happened. Heaven's orchestration is about to become visible reality. You are not waiting for a miracle, you are standing inside one. The transformation will not announce itself with thunder, it will arrive quietly. like dawn. You will wake up that day and feel something different, not on the outside, but deep within. The heaviness you've carried will begin to lift. The fog that once clouded your thoughts will clear. The future will no longer feel distant, it will breathe through you. The same light that once felt unreachable will begin to radiate from within your being. You may not realize it instantly, but others will. They'll sense peace around you where there used to be pressure. They'll feel steadiness in your voice, see a new certainty in your eyes. That's what happens when divine purpose fully inhabits a human vessel. You become a living prophecy fulfilled. December 9 will not erase your scars, it will crown them. Each one will glow as proof of endurance, of lessons learned in silence, of prayers answered in unexpected ways. You will begin to see beauty where once there was only memory of pain. The ashes of past seasons will shimmer with hidden gold, and you will finally understand what the refiner was shaping all along. The world may not notice what shifts that day, but heaven will. The spiritual realm will record it as the moment when alignment became activation, when everything inside of you said yes in unison with heaven's will. The unseen battle that raged for your obedience will fall silent. Not because the war ceased, but because victory has been declared. This revelation is not about spectacle, it's about synchronization. Heaven and earth move as one now. You will no longer chase signs, they will follow you. You will no longer seek confirmation, it will flow through your peace. The struggle between who you were and who you're becoming will resolve into harmony. The final step, the one marked by December 9, is not about external achievement, but internal realization. You will see yourself as heaven has always seen you, whole, chosen, crowned. The words spoken over you in secret will begin to echo in the open. The destiny that hovered above your life for years will settle fully into the present. You will feel it when you speak and see it when you move. Circumstances will begin to respond differently, as if creation itself recognizes you now. You have become a vessel through which divine intention expresses itself naturally. Every act, every word, every glance carries weight because it carries heaven's resonance. This is what the final step means, not an ending, but an embodiment. You are not stepping towards something new, you are stepping as something new. The old version of you cannot follow beyond this point. The wilderness season is behind you. The promised territory begins beneath your feet. On December 9, the unseen hand of God will turn the page. The chapter of becoming will close, and the chapter of being will begin. You will no longer chase fulfillment, you will live from it. The waiting will give way to walking. The longing will turn into living proof. And when the day passes, remember, this revelation is not meant to fade. It is meant to unfold. This is not a single event. It is the opening of a new rhythm that will carry you forward for years to come. The alignment that begins on December 9 will continue, expanding like ripples across eternity. And now, chosen one, take a breath. You've reached the end of this journey, but in truth, it's only the beginning. You have walked through revelation, fire, silence, and awakening. Heaven has spoken, and you have listened. Every word you've received has been a seed, planted in the soil of your spirit. Now it is time to let those seeds grow, to live what you've learned, to walk as light in a world still searching for dawn. If this message has stirred something within you, let your light echo back. When you like, you help this message reach another wandering soul who may need the reminder that they, too, are chosen. When you share, you become a messenger of hope, carrying heaven's whisper into places you may never visit yourself. When you subscribe, you are saying, I want to stay connected to the voice that reminds me who I am. And when you comment below, even with a few words, it becomes more than engagement, it becomes testimony. Someone scrolling in silence may find your words and feel the courage to rise again. Never underestimate the weight of small acts done in faith. So, chosen one, keep your flame burning. Keep your faith alive. The world is watching for light, and heaven has placed that light in you. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let this message continue to move as living fire. The story doesn't end here. It begins with you.